Yesterday, June 27th, marked a massive milestone for myself, which is 2 years without drinking alcohol. Let's snap it up, okay? 2 years. That's a long time without touching a drink, drinking any alcohol. And this one small decision at the time has completely transformed my life. And wow, I mean, when I just really take a moment to just think about the person I was then to the person I am now, and obviously there was a lot of growth in between, but cutting out the booze was one of the main reasons I could step in and evolve into the person that I am today. So what was that moment? What was that moment that I decided to finally stop and get to this 2 years? It was June 27th, 2022. I was in New York City visiting Caitlin. I had actually flown out there to ask her to be my girlfriend, and she was out there for the month. And I was out there for 10 days with her. We had a place in West Village that she was staying at, and we lived it up. It was summertime in New York City. I had never spent an extended time in the city, even being someone that had grown up in Western Massachusetts, and we lived it up. We were working West Coast hours while living on the East Coast for that week, which was incredible. I didn't start work till noon every day, and I was done by 7, 8 p.m., and we had ourselves a good time. We went out a lot, we drank a lot, and towards the end of the trip, I was flying back to LA. She was going to be leaving at the end of that day to start the road trip back because she had her car and she had Storm, our dog at the time. And her and I were at brunch a couple hours before I flew out. And I don't remember how the conversation started, but it was ultimately we both kind of just settled on, we need to take a break. This is just not in alignment with us. We're spending a lot of money, time, energy, drinking, being out late into the night, hungover the next day. We were just doing the math and it just didn't add up. It didn't add up to the life we wanted to create for ourselves. And we started thinking about what we were leaving on the table because of us chasing after alcohol. And so we kind of settled on, let's just go on a 30-day cleanse, which really was, we said, let's do the end of July. So it was more than 30 days, maybe 40, but we just challenged ourselves in our relationship. We're starting off, we're now boyfriend and girlfriend. Let's challenge ourselves to cut out the alcohol. So we went through 30 days and it was interesting timing because obviously 4th of July was right around the corner. And, we went to a beach party where we weren't drinking, but we still went. And there were other moments where we would go out back in LA. We weren't drinking. We'd have mocktails. And we made it to 30 days. We took the 30 days, we moved it to 60 days because we felt so good. Why not keep the momentum going? Then we hit 90 days, then we hit 100. And once we hit 100, it was kind of this conversation around, well, what does it look like to just make this our new lifestyle, right? Before that, we're kind of gamifying it. We're trying to hit the next day, the next day, the next day. But now it was at a point where we had felt and seen such a shift in us. Why not just allow this to keep going without an end date? So once we got to around 100, from what I remember, we were kind of just both on the same page of let's just make this our lifestyle and see what happens. And one thing led to another. That's what allowed us to get to 2 years. And I think the mindset that was so crucial through that journey was truly just taking it one day at a time and reminding myself, each day, I'm choosing not to drink because of what else I want to create in my life with the extra money in my pocket, with the extra energy, with the extra time. I was such a big self-critical person about what I was potentially leaving on the table from drinking that I just didn't want to live with that in my mind anymore. And that didn't mean I had to stop living life. I still was going out and experiencing and having fun. I was not allowing myself to pick up alcohol. Now, what's really important to note was the 2 years leading up to this singular moment. Before I met Kate, I was pretty much on a 2 to 3 year sober curious journey where I would do my own 30-day stints of no drinking, then I would start drinking again. Or I would come up with the rules where if I'm going to go out, I'm only going to allow myself to have one drink and that's it. Or I'm going to allow myself to drink one day of the week and that's it. And then I would find myself inching back to, all right, I'll do 2 drinks a night. Okay, then 3. Oh, you know what? I can control my drinking, so I'm just going to drink as much as I want and it's all good. And then I would, slip right back to where I was, drinking, partying, and then I'd be like, all right, Bobby, time for another reset. Let's do 60 days. Let's do 100. So up into this moment, up into this conversation with Kate, I had 2 years of experience of doing this sober curious journey. Credit to her, she had never done this before, and she went all in and has made it to 2 years. So I think it's really important to note that I was really curious along the journey of trying to be sober curious and seeing, what does that look like in my lifestyle? How did my social circle react to my decision to quit drinking, right? For the most part, I think I had done a really good job of surrounding myself with people in LA that were already not drinking. A lot of them were on their sober curious journeys, starting to stop drinking and cut out the booze. So there were a lot of people that kind of didn't really second guess it. Which I think is a credit to the people that I had started to surround myself with out there. And if I noticed anyone that was overreacting and really taking it personal that I wasn't drinking, and maybe double click on that friendship where it's like, if you're mad that I'm trying to do something that is bettering myself, are you the type of person I want to spend time with? Now, I wasn't the guy that was out and about telling everyone you need to quit drinking, or I was judging people. I was very clear, like, hey, I've recognized that drinking is not good for me. It is a problem, and I want to get rid of it. And if you choose to drink and that's your vibe, like, all good. I don't judge. I respect you, but that just doesn't work for me. And I think part of that too was coming from a place of having seen it wreck both my mom's side of her family and my dad's side of the family. I've lost uncles to alcohol, and I've seen it ruin marriages. I've seen it ruin, relationships and father-son, father-daughter relationships. And it's ugly. And I know it's within my blood. And I wanted to prove to myself as well that, I could not have a drink and be okay with it. So in reality, I didn't really feel like there was any resistance from my social circle, but I've over the years, as I've posted some of this content, I've seen people respond and react to 500 days, 700 days. A lot of people, I think, are afraid to take that step because of their environment. And I would encourage you, if that's you and you're really considering taking a break, but you're afraid because of your social circles, one, ask yourself, are these people I really want to surround myself with if they're judging me because I'm trying to do something that betters myself? And number 2 is you don't need to stop being social because you're not drinking. That's where it becomes a bigger problem, because you're like, well, I'm not drinking. I can't go out. I'm going to sit on the couch and I have no friends. Excuse me. What I would do, I would still go out. I would just order like a soda water with lemon, or just I would have a drink in hand, because that is just so much of what society and our culture is accustomed to, is like, we're being out, we're socializing, we have a drink in our hand. And I would happily just get a water, soda water, put a lemon in it, and I was vibing. Or like it is present day, there are a lot of bars and venues that carry non-alc alternatives, such as Athletic Brewing, which I love. Corona makes a very good alternative. And if not, then I would just go to Waters. What helped me hit the 2 years, right? The fact that I'm even saying it out loud, 2 years, it's blink of an eye. It went by really fast, and I can't allow myself, because I can easily just hit 2 years, keep it moving. But I'm really, the reason I wanted to record this podcast, I want to take a moment for myself. I wanted to be selfish and be like, Bobby, you did this. You hit 2 years. For some people, 2 weeks they can't even hit, but you did 2 years. That is not an easy feat to hit. And I don't want to undervalue and underestimate what I've been able to accomplish for myself. And it comes down to really, like I said before, taking it one day at a time and really understanding, what am I giving up in order to drink alcohol? That was what helped me change my perspective completely. It was, I am giving up time, energy, attention, money to creating the life I want for myself. I knew at the time that I was slowing down drinking. I was working full-time at Liquid IV. I was still building out my side hustle as a creator and coach. My socials were starting to do really well, but I knew I was leaving opportunity on the table, because the next day I'd be hungover. I can't creatively think straight. Or there were days where literally I'd come off a weekend bender of raging. It'd be Monday. That's when I normally would record my podcast, and I would have to push back at least a day, sometimes 2 days, because my voice was so like scratchy, because I'm an extrovert, I'm a loud person. And when I'd be out drinking on the weekends, I'd be screaming people's names, and you're in environments with a lot of music, and I'd lose my voice. So I would have to push my podcast back a day or two, or I would push through it. And it was just so obvious, like, is this dude sick? He should not be talking. His voice is terrible. And it was because I was partying. And so I just was starting to see all these things add up. And I could not live with the fact of knowing that I am the bottleneck. I am causing myself to not live my full potential. And I didn't want to live like that anymore. I wanted to have peace of mind every day knowing I'm giving it my all. There's nothing else I could do to work harder, smarter, etc., without burning myself out. And I was honest with myself of like, I need to cut out the alcohol. So that was really helpful. And truly, like I said, just taking it one day at a time was really the mindset I had to embody to get to this point. Did I ever feel like I was missing out from not drinking, right? That's something that I think a lot of people deal with, which is FOMO. They're seeing other people drink. They're like, damn, I wish I could have that drink. And if I'm being honest, maybe the first 60, 90 days, 100 days where like I could still taste what a margarita tasted like thinking about it, or I'd see someone drinking a beer and I'm like, damn, I would love that IPA right now. But after 100 days, it got easier because it was starting to become my new lifestyle. James Clear, the writer, author of Atomic Habits, talks about, I think on average it takes 66 days to break an old habit or to start a new one. And I think after I got past that 66 days mark, it became easier because it was starting to really not be part of my identity. And once again, I didn't allow myself to stop being social. I was still going out, going to the bars with people. And what really shifted was with time, the longer I stopped drinking, I then asked myself, why am I actually going to the bars? Why am I out past 10 p.m., 11 p.m.? Like, there's obviously those instances, right, where you're going to go out, celebrate a birthday, et cetera. But I started to be even more intentional with, do I actually need to be there? Like, me there from 11 a.m. till 2 a.m., what value is that bringing in my life? It's really not much, because at that point, people are starting to feel buzzed or hammered. There's really there's just not much that's going to come from that environment for me. At a certain time in my life, when I was single and trying to meet a lot of people and running around LA, of course, that's where I wanted to be on the weekends. But it no longer served me. And so I didn't feel like I was missing out. And I found myself, instead of going out, from at 10 p.m., I found myself going to bed early and waking up and maybe doing something social, like a hike, like a yoga class at 10 a.m. the next day. So I was still getting my social itch, just in a different container, a container that was more aligned with the person that I was trying to become. What have been some of the biggest benefits of quitting? As I've said, I can't say it enough. Time, money, energy. These are things that I was giving up by drinking alcohol. And once again, it's really important for me to say this a couple times, is like, I'm not here to try to convince all of you to quit drinking alcohol. I'm not saying I judge you. I'm just so intentional with my life that it was black and white. It was so clear. The pros of getting rid of alcohol and the cons of not getting rid of it, it was just so obvious that like there's no reason for me to keep drinking alcohol. So the biggest benefits, if I look back in the last 2 years, right, is like I was able to leave my full-time gig and go all in on myself. 6 months, right around now. Let's go. 6 months of running my own biz. Whole emotional roller coaster in and of itself, but I wouldn't change it for the world. I got engaged to Caitlin, the partner that I started this journey with. Incredible. I moved from LA to Austin. I've started cultivating an incredible community here in Austin of people that are so inspiring. They're wellness focused, entrepreneur focused, just genuinely good people that want to better themselves, better the world. And honestly, most of them don't drink. And I'm not even like consciously choosing that. It's just the people I've attracted into my life. So the benefits of quitting is I've truly, without a doubt, stepped into and created a life that I once dreamed of. Now, of course, are there certain things that I'm striving for? Yes, the mountains, the mountain is always going to keep growing. You get to one peak, then you're on to the next one. The goalpost is always going to shift. There's always going to be new things I'm chasing after. But if I'm honest with myself about where I'm at today, presently, I'm living the dream life. All aspects of my life are in alignment. My relationship's in a great place. My work's at a great place. My well-being is in a great place. I'm carving out time for life experiences, new hobbies. Your boy's starting to, master the art of tennis. Got a lot of room to grow there. I'm really starting to cultivate community here in Austin. Like, life is good. And I pause when I say that because this is really the culmination of the last 8 years of creating a life by my own design, but really even in just the last 2 years of drawing a line in the sand saying, alcohol, you do not serve me. I do not want you to be part of my life. And then doing that for other aspects of my life, setting boundaries for the things that just were not bringing value into my life. So the benefits have just completely outweighed the cons, and it's just been incredible. Have I noticed a change in my productivity or focus since quitting? Whew. I mean, if I tried to do the math on how much time I've gained back that I could then put into focus and productivity work, and productivity doesn't have to be just work mode, right? Productivity could be like carving out time for new hobbies on the weekend or exploring Austin, right? Like, let's look at just a week alone. I honestly think on a week-to-week basis, I'm probably, since quitting alcohol, I probably saved myself anywhere between $100 to $150. That's very, very safe. That's, Ubers to and from the bars. That could be drinks at the bar. That could be if I go to dinner with Caitlin or a double date, then I'm drinking, there's more money. So at least $150 to $200 easily. Then you do the time spent laid out at the bar, the time spent the next day hungover. I mean, we are talking 10, 20 hours a week that I've gained back to then reinvest and create a life that I want for myself. So thus creating more time for productivity, and honestly, just like a light switch, I can drop into focus. Not just because of the alcohol, I think also because I prioritize my physical and mental well-being. I eat really good, I sleep good, but alcohol is a pillar of why, cutting out alcohol is a pillar of why I've been able and am able to focus so quickly and so sharply on a day-to-day basis. So without a doubt, it's been exponential because of it. How do I handle social situations where alcohol is present? Goes back to kind of what I was saying earlier about I didn't stop allowing myself to be social. I still was doing social things. It's just my reality now and the community I've attracted, the things I'm interested, the things I say yes to, alcohol tends to not be part of it. And I'm even hosting a intimate 8 great men's dinner night in July here in Austin. And I'm being intentional with letting people know alcohol will not be served and please do not bring it. Because I just don't want it present, because I know how it changes people. It changes the way they speak. It changes the way they feel. And I've been there. I've done it. Okay? Guilty as charged, Your Honor. But it just doesn't serve me anymore. And I don't want it to serve the community of people that I'm surrounding with if I'm creating the experience in the environment. So ultimately, I don't judge. We still go to double dates where the other people are drinking, or we did a triple date last week and the other 2 couples are drinking. It's all good. It's their life. I'm not here to tell them what they can and can't do. I've just made a choice for myself that it's just not what I want in my life. What advice would I give to someone considering quitting alcohol? This is a tough one, right? So it's tough because the context of why you want to quit is really important. But do I believe anyone and everyone can do it? Yes. I think it's one, being honest with yourself of what are the benefits that are going to come from you putting down the booze. What are you going to be able to do with that extra time, money, and energy with your life? How can you use that time to focus in on your goals, to create a life that feels so much more in alignment with you? It's then focusing on one day at a time and not judging yourself for who you were 6 months to a year ago. I had to let go of that old identity of me of being the first one in the bar, the last one to leave. I had to let that go in order to allow this next version of me to blossom. Because if I was attached to that old version of me, it wouldn't have happened. And I've seen this with some of the clients that I've worked with. A lot of them end up coming to me and saying, hey, Bobby, alcohol's not serving me. I know you haven't been drinking. What do I need to do? And I've coached a few of them through this process because they just recognize it's time, money, and energy they no longer want to waste. So think about the benefits of quitting, taking it one day at a time, and then being really mindful of what are you saying yes to. So I'm not saying you need to stop going out with your friends to the bar, but the more times you're putting yourself in those environments, the harder it gets because now you're in an environment that is trying to pull you into drinking. If instead of going to those events and experiences, you start prioritizing other things, coffee meetups, maybe a social workout class where after the workout they have like a Saturday 2-hour event and there's cold plunges, etc., right? Putting your time, effort, and energy into those things and cultivating a new community that is also aligned with not drinking is going to change your environment. I really do believe your environment creates you. And if you're surrounded by people that think and prioritize one thing, it's going to be so much harder for you to do the opposite if it's not what you want to create for yourself. I always say to people now, the sauna is my new bar. That's where I go to socialize with people. And it's been incredible because I feel so good doing it. They feel so good. And it's just really good. So the biggest question, do I think I'll ever drink again? That's what people ask me from time to time. And I don't think I ever will, but I'll never say never because I never thought I would leave LA, and here we are in Austin, Texas. The difference is this is something that doesn't have a positive ROI for me. I know it is a slippery slope that once I get one in me, it's easier to get 2, 3, 4. It's easy for me to go from 1 day drinking per week to 2, 3, 4. I just know that it does not benefit me. So are there moments or instances like at my wedding? Do I want to allow myself to have a glass of wine? I don't want to because it doesn't serve me. I'll gladly take a non-alc glass of wine, but having an actual glass of wine doesn't serve me. If I'm in Europe right now, do I want to treat myself at a nice Italian restaurant to a glass of wine? It sounds tempting, but on the other side of what it will cause, the hangover, the emotional, loosey-goosey, I don't want it. I don't want it in my life. So at this moment in time, I don't see myself ever needing to pick up another drink, but I'll never say never. What I really go back to, and what I said earlier in this podcast, is every day I ask myself, is alcohol serving me? Do I want to incorporate it into my life presently? And for the last 2 years, it's been no. And today, it's a no. Tomorrow, I'll reassess, but all I'm focused on is right now, to the end of today, I know alcohol is not serving me, and so I'm choosing not to drink. So it's been an incredible 2 years. I really wanted to share this important achievement with all of you because this is such a pillar of me creating a life by my own design, being intentional with what I'm saying yes to, and recognizing this thing, whether it's alcohol, whether maybe it's a person, a habit, a routine, etc., right? For me in this moment, it's the alcohol. This thing no longer serves me. I recognize what I'm leaving on the table by allowing into my life. And now I want to set a boundary so that I can create a new identity. I can create a new version of myself that is more aligned with the person I want to become. And that right there is how I've been intentional with creating a life without alcohol that's helped me step into the version that you guys and gals are seeing and hearing today. And I could not be more grateful for what the last 2 years have showed me. And I can't wait to see what the next 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years of removing the dopamine hit of alcohol, what that will help me evolve to next. So thank you for tuning in. If this episode was at all enjoyable for you, please leave a review, whether you're listening on Spotify or iTunes. It really does help. Or if you'd like, share it out on your IG story. Maybe there's someone in your community that is looking to remove alcohol themselves. And I hope this podcast episode is the thing that gives them that little extra nudge. Thank you for tuning in. See you in the next one.